Hello, Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to this exploration and side-by-side comparison of the Asherah Tarot by Sarah Wheatley, the 3rd edition. And I'm going to be showing it side by side with the Thoth Tarot. But before we get into that, let's just talk about this deck and how this deck came into my life and all that good kind of stuff. The first thing I actually want to mention, just because it may get seen on camera, is there is a QR code on this box. You will probably regularly see me in and around social media warning you that in many cases, if there's a QR code on the box and you're buying the deck on Amazon or Wish or any place where you can't be sure, it's very likely a copycat deck because it's incredibly rare for authentic decks to have QR codes on the bottom of the box. And I actually didn't even notice the QR code until I was sitting down to film this video. So I have not checked to see what the QR code goes to. I'm wondering if it goes to a digital guidebook. I don't know. But because I talk about that as regularly being a thing that can be a bit of a red flag that a deck is a fake, I want to be very clear. I did buy this from Drive Through Cards, where the creator herself did make it available for sale. So this is a legitimate copy, but I thought that was something that I should mention because I do talk about that a lot. In any case, that's just a little bit of a side rant or side commentary. Can we just talk about, I wish this was on the back of the cards. It's a beautiful unicorn, but there's a unicorn and a lion on the box. This is a super basic tuck box. My deck will not be staying in this tuck box. It will, in honor of this red unicorn, be moving into a, this is one of Peggy's mini size little pocket pouches, which is the perfect size for a deck this size. So this is actually a poker sized deck. It's a really weird tuck box too, because it's got like a flap in there. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know. That bugs me, but it's no big deal. I'm not going to be keeping it in the box. So I'm going to set that aside. I have gone through the cards already and reordered them so that I can put them side by side with my Thoth Tarot and we can kind of dig into it and go through it. But there are some extra cards on the top that I want to talk about. Now, I mentioned I was going to talk about how this deck came into my life. So I've been talking on the channel lately about how I've been studying the Thoth Tarot and I'm really enjoying it. By the end of March, I had completed working through my entire study of the original 78 cards, or the 78 cards of the original Thoth Tarot that was illustrated by Lady Frida Harris, created by Aleister Crowley and Lady Frida Harris. So I worked my way through all 78 cards, and now I'm going to be starting to work my way through working with other decks that are Thoth-based or Thoth-inspired in some way, and this is the first one that I want to work with. I've got the Tabula Mundi, I've got some other decks that I'm going to be playing with, but when you see this video, I probably will have already worked with this because I'm filming the video just prior to working with it and I'll still have to edit and all that stuff. But anyways, I babble. I'm in a very babbly mood today. This is just what we get. So in any case, I first found out about this deck from Dustin at Modern Metaphysicae, and he showed it to me and I was like, I don't need that. And then the more I studied the Thoth, I'm like, I definitely need this. It's a really beautiful art style. I'm excited to get into it. This particular deck, like I said, is poker sized, and it's also a linen finish cardstock, which I'm a sucker for. This is what the back of the deck looks like. And if I get the light on it, you could probably see the linen finish on the cards. Means it'll shuffle really well, and this size also means it will work well in larger spreads, which is exciting. So there's some extra cards on the top we're going to talk about before we go into the side-by-side. So I'm going to zoom us in real close for that part. So we have a card here that illustrates the Kabbalah, and it's really beautifully done. So each of the Sephirot are numbered. So you can see we have Keter at the top, going all the way down to Malkuth at the bottom. They are correctly color-coded, and they have, I think it's really cool that the Tipperet here, number 6, is illustrated to look like a sun, because that is associated with the sun. And I always forget this one. Tippereth is the 6th. I forget the name of the 9th one, but it's the moon. So we go from Malkuth at the bottom, which is manifested reality and creation, up to the moon, up to the sun, and then all the way up to Keter from there. There's also a faint image of a tree on the background, and the other cool thing about this is that you can actually see the 4 worlds illustrated here, because you have, I'm not going to know their names, so don't quiz me on this, but we have the fire, water, air, and earth, 4 worlds, because the Kabbalah is actually made up of 4 individual worlds that all connect into a Jacob's Ladder style bigger tree of life, I guess is the best way to say it. You guys, I'm very much in the learning phase, but I think it's really cool that that's all present in this image, as well as the image of the tree. Although I do kind of wish that the tree was illustrated different, because one of my favorite ways that I have heard the tree of life referenced when it's layered with this Kabbalistic tree of life is that it's actually more like the roots of the tree are up in Keter, The branches are kind of down in this area, right? And then Malkuth is kind of like the fruit of the tree. So this kind of dangles below is kind of the fruit that the tree bears. So the upright tree actually throws me because I've got that mental image now. But anyway, I digress. So when you flip this over, which is great. Ah, there we go. Yesod. Yesod is the foundation. That's Yesod, the moon Sephirot. Anyways, when you flip this over, you do get a little cheat sheet for all of the Sephirot, which is super cool. I love that this is here. So I'm definitely going to be keeping this with the deck. Set that aside. Then you have, basically this is like card cheat sheets or card, like a little mini card guidebook kind of. So you have a little information on each of the court cards. And it has, on the front here, it has princesses first, and it talks about the Princess of Wands, Princess of Cups, Princess of Swords, and Princess of Discs. When you flip it, you have princes, and then it goes into each one, which is super awesome. Then you have queens, each one, and kings, each one. So these are some great little cheat sheets. Super fun. I love that. I'm going to flip these because we go princesses, yeah, and then queens. Okay, here we have another illustration of the Tree of Life on this card, which is super cool. There's some neat stuff happening here. And then on the back, we start our little guidebook about the minor arcana. So it talks about, I think I have these backwards. I think I do. I do. So actually, maybe in my reordering of the deck, I messed this up. I think I did. So, yeah, these are all backwards. Okay, hold on. We're going to get there. Oh, I see. Okay, so actually, I just totally showed these backwards. This is how they're supposed to be. Hold on. Princesses, queens, knights. I think this is probably the right order. So you actually have this title card. Sorry, guys. So you have this title card. Then you have a little information, a thank you from the creator, Sarah Wheatley. Then you have the majors, going majors all the way through, tower, and it ends here with the universe card and this really cute little illustration. Then you have the minors starting with the aces, and they're grouped by numbers, going all the way up through the tens. Then you have, after this kind of dividing card, dividing image, you now have the court cards. So I've got them in order of princesses, princes, queens, and the knights, but I think it was actually reverse order. Anyways, not that that matters. And then you have our Kabbalah image here with our image of the Kabbalah. So super cool. I really want the Kabbalah to stay close. So we'll put that right there. And now we're going to get into the actual cards themselves. But yeah, the cardstock is linen. It's lovely. It feels like it's going to hold up really well. Let's zoom out. I'm going to get out my large Thoth, which is in order. And we're going to do a side-by-side going all the way through. The deck should now be in the same order as one another. And we're just gonna flip through. Now, this is my first time doing a walkthrough of a Thoth deck, so please bear with me. And those of you who are watching this video who know the Thoth better, please feel free to chime in down below with things that you noticed. So we're gonna begin with the Fool. The Fool in the Thoth Tarot is a very overwhelming card for me to look at. So actually, I'm really looking forward to this slightly more simplified imagery we have over here. We still have the Hebrew letter here and the elemental symbol here, so the symbol for air, and we still have the crocodile. Do we see, this is important to me, do we see the tiger or something like the tiger in this image? I see the butterfly at the breast there, which is super cool. I don't see the tiger, and that kind of bums me out because I heard a reference, and gosh, you guys, I've been doing so much study about the Thoth from so many different sources, I don't remember which source, but I heard a reference to the tiger biting him on his thigh being symbolic of the fear that we feel sometimes when we're in this space of the Fool, but we're going to go ahead anyway, kind of thing. I think also that the crocodile, is it a crocodile or an alligator? You guys, I'm so bad at this. But the crocodile or whatever this is a symbol of manifestation or of Malkuth. So the pure light of Keter up here with the sun. So I feel like the symbology is here from the little bits that I know. We definitely get the idea of embarking on a journey here. And I like that our Fool is also almost looks like the beginnings of our Magician, which is super interesting to me. And I guess what I'm saying is that in the Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot, the Magician has one arm up and one arm down, the as above, so below. But here I kind of see it in the Fool card of the Asherah Tarot. Our Magician card, I've never been a fan of this Magician card since I started studying the Thoth. I mean, it's all the symbology is there, and that's great, but it's very flat looking to me, like very monotone almost looking, or monochromatic. I don't know how to quite say it, but it's very one note with the colors. But the colors are really important because they're based on the color scales. That matters, but I just find this card a little boring to look at. That's basically it in a nutshell. It's very shallow of me, but there it is. I really love the Magus card in the Asherah Tarot. I like that we have this 5-pointed star above which we see a yin-yang, then like a sun. We have this like helix, double helix of these like serpents here. I'm really interested now to know if the QR code that I spotted on the box is a guidebook. I'm going to be checking that out for sure because I'd love to see. We still have the Hebrew letter and we have Mercury here for our astrological glyph. There's a lot of astrology in the Thoth, so I really want to be able to see that in the cards. I love that they're very apparent. These colors for this High Priestess, and again, this is more correct according to the color scales from what I understand, but this is so beautiful. It's just a beautiful representation of the card. Some important things. So there is a bow, or some have argued that this is actually a lyre or another like harp-like musical instrument on the High Priestess's or on the Priestess's lap. You can see that same thing as well as the arrow over here on the Asherah tarot, which is wonderful. I love the eyes, and the sort of star between them to me highlights the third eye space, which I think is really cool. You could definitely hunt for and find a lot of the same symbology across both cards, which I think is great, but I just love the colors in this one. And I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm just looking for enough that I feel like this can stand in for me, because this is a great study deck and it's beautiful. It's really, the artwork's really, really grown on me, but I'm excited to work with different versions of artwork, if that makes sense. Here we have our Empress. We have the Hebrew letter down here. We still have the Venus symbol on the shield here. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Yes, look at our Emperor. I love this. So we still have the sign for sulfur here, apparent, which is the position of the Emperor stands in for the symbol of sulfur, because there's a lot of alchemy also woven through the Thoth tarot. So seeing this, the actual symbol for sulfur right there on the Mercury, right there on the Emperor's body is immediately helpful to that reference. We also have the Hebrew letter and the sign for Aries here. I love this sort of dragony creature down here at his feet. And his legs are in the same position. He's still holding his sphere of power. It's very, you can tell the symbology is, again, very intentional here. We have the two rams on both cards, so that's wonderful. And yeah, I'm just kind of noticing where there's correlation, because so far this deck feels like the most... Of the ones that I was drawn to play with that were Thoth-based, this one feels like it has the most easy to spot familiar symbology across it that I'm expecting to look for. Does that make sense? I don't know if I said that right, but like I feel like it has all the same stuff, but just illustrated in a different way, basically. So same thing here with our Hierophant. We have this star, 5-pointed star in the center. I'm looking for that sort of the three aeons that you can really see here when you have Isis, Osiris, and Horus kind of present through this card. I do see here, we have the crossed keys, and I also see the 5-pointed star, which I can kind of see almost the Horus idea there. It's interesting that this character almost has like Gorgon-like hair, like serpent-like hair, which is super interesting. Ooh. Cool. The Lovers, there's a heavy alchemical reference to the Lovers. I like that we have the day and the night referenced in the back here. This is really cool. I like that they're both touching this sort of central figure, or maybe creating this central figure. But there seems to be, on her version of the Lovers card, a pretty heavy emphasis on the butterfly and the metamorphosis concept, but that's just what I'm picking up right now. Oh, this chariot is so pretty. I love the yin-yang in the center here of the spiral, but we still get that movement like we do here in the moving disc in the center. I love the lotus. I'm always drawn to lotuses. It's just a thing. I also love that our chariot is clearly underwater, because the chariot is associated with the sign of Cancer, which is, of course, my sun sign. So that's cool to see. Lust. Okay, so this really threw me. For some reason, even though this is very clearly a Thoth-based deck, Lust is in position 8. So we'll take a look at that real quick. Actually, let's just swap them so that it's less confusing. And Justice is in position 11, which is the opposite of the Thoth. I don't know why that choice was made, but there it is. So here we have Justice. These are very different cards. I don't even actually see a scales in the Justice card here in the Asherah Tarot, which is super interesting. We do have the sign for Libra down here in the corner, and the Hebrew letter. The Hermit. Oh, this is such a beautiful Hermit card. We still have the, oh gosh, what's that called? The Orphic Egg, I believe it's called. So here we can see the staff coming up. And this actually is almost like a street lamp style light. Like it hangs down and it's shining really brightly. And then our Hermit is actually touching this little butterfly. Super cool. I love this Wheel of Fortune. I love the cycles here. I love the moon cycles, the movement of it. I love the kind of mandala-like look of it. It's really, really beautiful. And then here's our lust card. So we still have, in this case, instead of 9 or 7 heads on the beast, the wild beast, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 sort of snake heads or serpent heads on the tail. So all of the beast heads are kind of coming out the back end there. Really cool. She's still holding up the sort of grail that's leading up into creation. Super interesting. These are very similar, although, oh no, the leg is in the same position. Yes, we do have the same sort of stuff here. We still have the ankh up there. There's a binding of the hands here with these like coils, these underwater kind of coils almost it looks like. And this card does have the water association here. And so we get the element really obviously. She's underwater. And she's sort of facing away, but everything else aligns. I like that we don't have the nails in the hands. That's a lovely change. Ooh, death card. So we have another mandala, this time with skeletons coming around and this pile of bones at the bottom. It feels very, very potent. We've got an Eye of Horus kind of situation happening down here, it looks like. Really cool. Again, I'm just kind of giving first impressions. I'm talking out my butt, you guys. I have no idea. I'm brand new to Thoth. So just, you know, again, please feel free to weigh in below. Love the alchemy. I can clearly still see in the art card here that I can see here. I love this big rainbow arc going all the way around. Loving that. Yeah. Cool devil. I prefer this devil. I like that it looks like a mirror that one is holding up to themselves. That really, really works. And the tower. The fire's down below, which we want to see. We have that here. But also kind of exploding out the top. The eye at the top. That idea of like that stroke of insight or that awareness. It's kind of waking up. I love that. Ooh, this star, I love this star. This is one of my favorite paintings in the original Thoth. It's so beautiful. What I want to see here is this idea of sort of creation happening. So I want to see this central figure look like she's outside of the world, like outside of the world of creation, like I see here, because it really shifted my perception of the star card in a lot of ways. To see that. And I think that's still the case here. I feel like we see that she's up in the sky, up in the sky, up in the universe, and she's pouring down these waters of manifestation or creation into the world of the manifested world and the manifested reality. So that really still works. I like that. The moon. This is so much easier for me to look at and gentler. This one's hard for me to look at. It's confusing. It's a lot happening in the image. And that's true of a lot of things that are happening in the Thoth, but this one just feels cluttered to me. It's heavy. And it's not that it shouldn't be heavy, but it's definitely trickier for my eyes to look at. I like this a lot better, but it does gentle the message a little, I think, which is not necessarily a good thing, not necessarily a bad thing. Okay, the face in the sun is super weird. That's so funny. I did not see that coming. I do love the lions here. We have Leo, obviously, represented in the sun card. No. Do we? Well, I guess we have Leo in the sense that there's lions here. The sun rules Leo. There's still 12 like rays of the sun representing for the 12 zodiac. I really don't think I expected to see the sun have such a clearly like peoply face. It has a peoply face. All right. Now we have the Judgment card. Now here it's called Judgment. In the Thoth, it's called the Aeon. I like that I feel like the Sephiroth here are lit up like they remind me. This actually reminds me more of, what card does that remind me of? There's a card, is it the 10 of Pentacles? Is it the 10? Hold on, I gotta check now. Or the 10 of Discs, rather. Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of the 10 of Discs with the symbols that are all in here. Okay, sorry, backing up. So we have the Tree of Life here. We have Keter, and I'm guessing these are their planetary associations. We have, and I'd have to double check that. Let's take a look. Okay, yeah, so this does perfectly line up. This makes sense. So we have Venus over here in Netzach, yeah, which is the 7, the moon, the sun. This does actually beautifully line up. And then we have a really big Keter, or not Keter, we have a really big Malkuth here in the bottom. This is interesting because it's as if the Judgment figure, it's showing the Judgment figure overlaid over the Tree of Life, or kind of as part of the Tree of Life. And it's as though the messenger is coming from the pure light of Keter and is blowing the horn, or kind of calling out down to the world of manifested creation and calling for you to rise up the Tree of Life. That is a really cool visual for what I feel like that card represents. That's super cool. That, like, I feel like that was really apparent in the imagery. And even if it's not intended, it's definitely what I got from the card, and I'm down with it. And then we have the universe. Again, I feel like this is a little easier to look at. I really like that about this. I like the addition of the color. This does feel like it bridges a little bit the Rider-Waite-Smith to the Thoth, but only in small ways. I see way more Thoth than I do Rider-Waite-Smith, but this is one of those cards that I feel like kind of bridges the two in a cleaner way. Okay, so now we're into the minor arcana. We have the Ace of Wands. I really like the perspective of feeling like I'm kind of looking up the tree that is aflame. We still have a very clear tree of life in the flames that are on the tree and all these bolts coming out. So all of the same symbology is very clear and it's here. We have a volcano erupting, which is super powerful. Pure essence, the root of the seed of fire, or however you say that. That's really clearly what you see there. We have the Two of Wands. It's interesting to me because the Two of Wands, I kind of see this as the point at which we are kind of clearing away the obstacles to what it is we wish to desire. And that's kind of what I see in this, I think they call this the double dorje or something like that. Again, please forgive my lack of really knowing what I'm talking about. But I'm trying to solidify my knowledge, I guess, in a way through doing this walkthrough. So just come with me on the journey. We'll see where we go. But this is the Mars and Aries card. So it's a very intense, fiery card, of course. Mars is the ruler of Aries. So it's a harmoniously fire. It's fire in harmony in a way. This is really cool and powerful. And you can tell we still have this same idea of sort of bursting through any obstacles that might be in our way. I like that. The Three of Wands. Ooh, I like that this feels like creation is happening. Like we have this kind of growth of the plant. This is Sun in Aries. Again, I really like how clear and apparent the astrological symbologies are on the card. I really appreciate that. The Four of Wands. This is one of my favorites. I love the green and the red. And here we seem very true to the color scales, by the way, now that we're into the minor arcana. I feel like there was more liberties taken with the majors. But here we have the green of Venus and the red of Mars kind of coming together. We have Venus in Aries. And of course, red is representative of Aries, or of Mars, rather, which is the ruler of Aries. So we have the two opposing kind of energies, right? We have fire, the sort of assertiveness of fire, but the softness and receptivity of Venus, right? And so we have these two kind of opposing energies in harmony. It's one of the things I like, the push-pull a little bit of the Four of Wands for that. And here we have, again, like I said, Venus and Aries. I like the idea that in this part of the suit of Wands, we're in a place where things are kind of balancing one another and harmonizing. So we've reached a point of like, okay, we've completed something. There's a wholeness to this picture. We're not done yet, but there's a wholeness to it. Here we have the Five of Wands. I love this version of the card quite a lot. This is Saturn in Leo, and you really feel Saturn, I feel like, in this card with these like roaring like lions, and the idea that this is the strife card, and there's definitely a feeling of like hitting a wall, like some objection. In the Rider-Waite-Smith, this central Adept's wand here in the very center, or what do you call that? The Master Adept wand or something like that. This central wand is like, boom, like kind of just in the way, blocking progress. There's a sense of conflict and upheaval. And the lions here all roaring gives you a little bit of that Rider-Waite-Smith competition vibe too, which is super cool. In the Six of Wands, we have Victory, which lines up beautifully with the Rider-Waite-Smith. Of course, again, we have more of this mandala energy. And here we had this like ferocity kind of fighting energy of the lion. But then here we have the lion kind of calm and centered, going, I'm here. I've accomplished the thing. I'm good. You know, I've rebalanced everything out. We have these little checkered flags indicating finish lines that have been crossed, which is super cool. And this is Jupiter in Leo. Here we have the Seven of Wands, which is Valor. We kind of get this idea of a buildup of, we've moved past the point of victory, right? And now we're at this point of kind of pushing forward. And the Seven of Wands, we have Mars in Leo this time. What was it again here? It was Jupiter in Leo, right? Yeah, okay. Here we have what looks like 7 candles all lit and burning brightly, but this kind of focal point in the center of the card. I'm really excited to work with the Asherah Tarot. I'm really liking this. Oh, look at this. I love this. Okay, so the Eight of Wands in the original Thoth is swiftness. It's a very high energy, a lot of fire, active kind of card, but it's also less flames and it looks different. It almost looks airy, and it's interesting because this is Mercury in Sagittarius, and you get this idea of Mercury is, of course, communication and language, and here it's almost like we're communicating our ideas. We're kind of off to the races. We're hard to stop at this point, right? And I feel like this is both really good, but I feel like this one, you really feel that communication waves kind of going out, sort of taking over. Really interesting to me. And then the Nine of Wands, which is the moon in Sagittarius. This is interesting. I really like all these like little moons and all these crescent moons, and the idea of this connection from the sun, which is sitting right at Tiphereth up here, down to Yesod, which is the foundational. I'm remembering, look at me saying it out loud. This connection between the sun and the moon and the energy of that, and the kind of push forward the strength of the Nine of Wands. But here we actually see an actual real true symbol of Sagittarius kind of shooting his arrow. Super interesting. Oh my gosh, I love this. And then the sun is at the center. And then this bottom area is still ruled by the moon. So we have this bottom area ruled by the moon and this upper area ruled by the sun. And this card kind of bridges those two, right? So you really see that here. Oh, I love that. Ooh, look at the oppression card. So here we find ourselves at the 10 of discs. Oh my gosh, focus camera. There we go. So the 10 of discs, this is cool because the 10 of discs here is represented by 10 chains or 10 Sephiroth shaped flaming heart type things with chains blocking this gate. So you get the idea of obstacles. This is of course Saturn and Sagittarius. So we are looking at obstacles just like in the OG Thoth here. We have these staffs in the front representative of Saturn's blockages, like the obstacles of Saturn. So I think that's really cool. I definitely find myself making more connections with astrology, working with the Thoth, which I think is a really cool sort of added benefit of this study. But anyway, we're on to quartz. Yay! So we still have the Princess of Wands here, has the tiger with her, and she's still kind of got a hold of its tail. And kind of, it's like she's got a hold of a wand that's kind of connected to the tiger's tail. I like that connection. This looks like the I Ching reference, and I'm super curious about that. And I'm guessing it's gonna, yeah, it's carrying through all the quartz. So here we have our Prince of Wands. He's got the sun right at his heart there, kind of like Tiphereth. I'm super curious about the I Ching piece now, and I just, okay, anyway. So we have our Queen of Wands. She's still got her hand on the head of the leopard next to her. She's still holding the same staff with the pine cone. She still has the rays coming out of her head. We have the two rams here, which are not in the original Thoth. This is, of course, water of fire. So we do see the water behind her. So I like that. And now we have fire of fire. I love this. I love that his cloak is on fire. I love that it's a unicorn, clearly. It's funny because in the Thoth Tarot, I saw a reference somewhere to it being a unicorn, but it's not a unicorn, interestingly enough, in my opinion anyways. When you really zoom in, there's this triangle shape right around where the right around where the horse's head is, but it looks to me to be some of the same kind of lines that are around here. I don't think it's meant to be a unicorn horn, just my opinion. It doesn't look like it's actually attached to the horse, but rather behind the horse. So that's my opinion, but I like that it's a unicorn here. I'll take it, but this is fire of fire. Love this. Okay. Now we're on to my favorite suit, which is the cup suit. I really enjoy the cup suit in the Thoth, but let's take a look at it over here. Okay, I love that here we have this umbilical cord baby, the dove, kind of similar to the Rider-Waite-Smith, bringing the wafer coming down here. It kind of merges the two systems for me a little bit. I love all of these like droplets of water sort of surrounding, just much like we have this reflection here. It really kind of merges the idea that in the Thoth Tarot, we can see the pure light of Keter coming down into this bowl. And I'm sorry if I'm talking like out, like again, I'm sorry if I'm talking about my butt, or if you don't know what I'm talking about, because I'm bringing in Kabbalah, but I'm kind of geeking out here. So just come along with me for the journey. And if anything I'm saying makes no sense, I apologize. This is where I was before I started studying Thoth. So now I'm just excited to be able to see connections. But anyway, I'm really excited about this pure light of Keter, which is super obvious in the Thoth, is the same thing as this dove coming down that we see commonly in the Ace of Cups and the Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot. And now we see the two kind of merged in this Asherah Tarot, which I'm loving. That was the point I was trying to make. And we have the lotus, but here, instead of the lotus being underneath the cup, well, actually, it is underneath the cup, but we're looking down at it this direction, if that makes sense. So we're not looking at it the side view, I don't think. I think we're kind of looking at it from up above. Maybe, well, actually, maybe not, because I don't know. I don't know. But this is where we're at. I just think it's really cool. I'm loving the way I can sink into the imagery. Okay, the kissing fish is adorable. I see a lot of Thoth here, but I also see some very simple imagery that really brings home the meaning of the Two of Cups, which I love. This is Venus in Cancer. Look at this, 3 of Cups. Okay, this is so silly with the mouths. This reminds me of TikTok filters and people putting like mouths on different objects and like having them move. I don't know if I'll be able to see past that. That's kind of funny. This is Mercury in Cancer. So it makes sense that there would be this kind of mouth or talking energy, but also we have these 3 neatly stacked cups. We have the dolphins at play. So we get that kind of playful gathering kind of energy here. This, yeah, I already said Mercury in Cancer. Okay. Here we have the 4 of Cups, luxury. Love the stability. And again, we're back to that mandala style here. This one is Moon in Cancer. Here we have the 5 of Cups, disappointment. This is so great because we can clearly see that these cups are empty. This person's got some tears coming out of their eyes. So you get that sort of sadness and loss and grief of the difficulty, the downward moving energy of the 5 of Cups here as Mars is in Scorpio. The 6 of Cups. This is Sun in Scorpio. Again, it's easier to see the astrological symbology in the Asherah than it is even in the Thoth tarot, where we have the sun symbol here, Scorpio's hidden down here at the bottom of the card. I love this. I like the spiral at the bottom, and I like these like dancing fish. You really get that idea of harmony. Everything's kind of balanced here, which I like. The 7 of Cups. So this feels like it's, again, bridging the Rider-Waite-Smith and the Thoth a bit better. So we have to botch. I can't unsee the freaking swamp from the labyrinth in this card. And I think I saw a reference to that somewhere, and now I can't get it out of my head because I only recently really watched Labyrinth all the way through for the first time. And it's that, what is that called? The Bog of Perpetual Stench or something like that. That's what this makes me think of every time I see this card. So I appreciate the shift over here to something that looks a little bit more neutral. I think it's really interesting that there's a face in the water. Hopefully you can see that on camera, but there's a face right there. Super cool. The 8 of Cups. I dig it. This feels less Thothy. This feels more Rider-Waite-Smith kind of to me. But here we have Saturn in Pisces, indolence in the Thoth, and we get this idea that only some of these cups are really receiving proper nourishment here. Here it looks a lot more balanced and neutral. The 9 of Cups for happiness. Lots of flowing water from all these different nautilus shells to each other. So each one nourishes the other, which nourishes the other. I like the fountainy kind of waterfall-y feel to both of these cards, but I really like that. And the 10 of Cups, where we have, again, the Kabbalah here. And here we have sharks at the bottom, which have their mouths open and pointed at the little lotus at the bottom, which represents Malkuth, which is super interesting. This is Mars in Pisces. That's interesting. I like the spiral too because it kind of speaks to the cycle of the 10, where we're kind of past the kind of culmination of the suit and we're moving into the beginning of the next. So this is where things kind of transition from end to beginning. So you almost get this feeling like these sharks are there to kind of bring in that ending or that obliteration. Like this is tentative, more tentative energy. Princess of Cups. I love that we get the scalloped shell behind her, much like her scalloped gown here. Now she is Earth of Water. It's a really pretty card. I really am loving the Asherah. I really, really am. The Prince of Cups. He's got the yin-yang right there on his chest piece. This giant crawfish that he's kind of got his arm over. So this is a scorpion, I just noticed. So that's Scorpio. I wonder, is it explicit? So the princess, no, but the prince looks like maybe he's representing Scorpio specifically. This is air of water. Our queen, she's pretty. And I mean, she's still got the ibis or the crane, whatever this creature is. And here she has the crawfish or the scorpion kind of coming up from the bottom of the card. Our Knight of Cups. I love the crab on his back. Okay, so he's very much Cancer. This one was very much Scorpio, which means this one has got to be Pisces. And we do have these 2 creatures at either side. I wonder if that's the nod to Pisces. I'm so interested. Okay, anyways, and there's the crab there coming out of his cup. I don't know. I'm making stuff up, you guys. I literally don't know. I'm just being curious. Okay, so now we're into the Swords suit. So you can really, again, you can really see the color scales correlating through the minor arcana, whereas I don't think they correlated as much through the majors. The colors really felt like they went in different directions. So here in the Ace of Swords, we still have the crown sort of piercing, or excuse me, the sword sort of piercing the crown of Keter, kind of connecting to that divine light. We have the snake coiled around the pommel, more obvious on this card, and we have some wings on this one. I love the eye up here, which really speaks to me to awakening or enlightenment or knowledge. This also looks to me like Kundalini rising here with the snake coiled at the base. There's some really interesting correlations between the Thoth tarot I've noticed and some Eastern methods or Eastern ways of looking at the world. Like Kundalini, you'll see present in several cards. The idea of the rising of Kundalini, you'll see the chakras kind of show up a little bit through the Thoth tarot too. So this is really interesting to me as well. The Two of Swords. This is cool because you have the scissors open here. This is Moon in Libra. You have the scissors open here, and their blades are both touching the sides of the yin yang, which, as with this lotus, to me seems like it's a symbol of peace. So there's this like symbol of peace, and like when the scissors close, you're going to shatter that peace. There's this moment of peace before the decision is made. I feel like this deck is really helping me take my knowledge of the Thoth that I've built in a very short time and sort of bridge it into more of an intuitive place. I feel like I'm definitely getting that out of this deck so far. I also think the owl here really speaks to me to the wisdom of making a wise decision here. The Three of Swords. So this, again, really bridges the feeling you get from this card looking at it in the Thoth tarot and in the Rider-Waite-Smith, which is super cool. This one is Saturn in Libra. The Truce card, the Four of Swords. We have this moment of peace. They've all got their hands in this mudra here, which is super, super interesting. I have to look that one up now because I'm spacing. I should know, but it's been a while, you guys. But I love that there's this harmony. There's, again, you get the feeling of truce in this card. There's a feeling of taking a moment, everybody getting their, taking a breath, getting calm. Super cool. I'm going to say super cool a lot because I'm really excited about being able to see things. Whereas the Thoth, I feel like I saw things once it was pointed out to me. I feel like I'm intuitively seeing things now in the Asherah tarot, which I'm not sure if I would have before studying the Thoth. So it's a weird catch-22 kind of situation, but it's cool. So here in the Five of Swords, we have the reverse pentacle shape made up of the swords here in the very center. But we also have an upright pentacle over top of that, which is super interesting. All these bolts of lightning around. This one is Venus in Aquarius. Oh, and the pommels of these swords are all bees. Kind of, yeah, that's super interesting. Okay, sorry. I'm just like, oh, this is so cool. The Six of Swords. Here, the pommels seem to be made up of, I don't know what those are. What are those? Okay, hold on. Let's bring it up and see if we can get the camera to focus. What are those? It's hard for me to tell looking in the viewfinder, but I'm wondering, any of you who have it on a big screen, can you tell what that's supposed to be? It's almost like a flower or a flying creature with wings. It looks like a bunch of wings, kind of. Anyways, this is a difficult card in a way to look at. The blue and the yellow, which are the same two colors really featured in the Thoth tarot, are kind of harsh here and almost like dizzying. But you have a lot of the same exact symbology. I'm missing, in a way, one of the things that's happening in the background of this card is that you have a fencer's diagram. So it reminds me to like take a look at the planning and the measured moves and like, yeah, tried and true strategies, things like that. I'm not sure about this one. And the Seven of Swords. I like that here we have a cockatoo, which is super cool. This is Moon in Aquarius. We have a cockatoo that is sort of stuck in the center here, surrounded by all of these swords. One of the things I love about the Thoth version of this card are all the different planetary symbols and what each of those kind of stands for as far as like futility and the way we get in our own way, our self-defeating thoughts, that kind of thing that kind of gets into this card. I'm missing that a bit, but I do kind of still see it. It has almost an Eight of Swords-y vibe with the surrounding the central creature. I also like that there's a heart in the background, which is kind of neat. And these two figures kind of blowing, creating the circle of air. Gosh, I really want a full guidebook for this deck. I want to get in the creator's brain, you know? Here we have the Eight of Swords, and we have Jupiter in Gemini, which you would think would be, I mean, it's an expansion of the mind, right? But that also expansion, mind, you're thinking like overthinking, right? Overwhelm. Here, there's a real kind of caught up in the moment kind of feeling. The Nine of Swords, cruelty. These look like little drops of blood. This is Mars in Gemini. Oh, and the butterfly here is all like dissected up at the top. Nod to cruelty for sure there. Again, I like these mandalas that show up here, little skull and crossbones at the bottom. A dark card for sure. The 10 of Swords. And here's where we can really see, okay, so this is kind of interesting. So this shows a mirror image of the Tree of Life. It's, in this case, it's descending almost down into the underworld here. Here it's raising up. So it's like you have this like sort of bat-winged creature at the bottom. And this, or maybe just straight up is a bat, I'm not sure. And then there's like this dove-like creature up here. So we get the idea that this is the direction we kind of want to be going, but we've maybe gone the other direction. We thought we were maybe climbing the Tree of Life, but we were actually descending deeper into darkness. This is Sun in Gemini. Thoughts on that? I'm just so curious to hear what you guys think of this. Especially those of you who've been working with the Thoth, what your impressions are. The Princess of Swords. There's our I Ching symbol in the center. So that is cohesive through all the suits, which is great. She has a necklace of skulls, which is, to me, feels like a little nod to some Kali-like energy, which might make sense for the Princess of Swords. That's interesting. There seems to be almost this like storm. The third eye space of this kind of moon-like shape up here has what looks to be the colors of Malkuth in it. So, of course, she is Earth of Air. And then we have... This one always screws me up in the Thoth because all I see are these yellow circles, and I keep thinking it's going to be the Prince of Discs, but it is the Prince of Swords, and these are actually little wings, sets of wings, which is really interesting. This one feels a little simpler to look at. We see the Prince of Swords here. We've got an Eye of Horus there, this Eastern Dragon, which to me, I think it really is meant to speak to sort of wisdom, being centered, being calm, kind of coming into the mind space. We're an Heir of Air now, so we're very much in that cerebral space. Queen of Swords. So she's got her severed head here. Here she looks a little more chill, but there's still a severed head under her throne. So everything's still there. We have the owl. That is an owl, right? The cat looks kind of angry here on the card, which is kind of interesting. She's holding her sword. And the Knight of Swords. I really like the quartz in this deck. This is meant to be Fire of Air. So I'd almost like to see some lightning or something like that, but we don't see that. This feels almost more airy of air, which makes me wonder. Does the prince feel like Fire of Air? No. Okay, so it's just the way that this particular card is depicted. And now we're into the discs. I love these colors. Look at the colors. Oh, so pretty. I love all the yin-yangs going all the way around the circle, and these little trigrams going around in the circle. It makes me wonder, are these the components of the Court of Discs? I'd be super curious to find out. But I like that card. Ooh, the Two of Discs. Here the colors are in completely different places, which is super interesting. And I wonder if that was based on a different kind of correspondence set or why that decision was made would be curious to me. But we still have this serpentine-like balance happening here. Again, we have the trigrams in a circle. Interesting. Here we have Works, the Three of Discs. Here we have the spider building the web, and we have areas where things overlap, so we have this really cool Venn diagram situation happening. Here we have literal color theory, which is kind of cool. We have the pink and the yellow making an orange color, the red and the pink making this kind of indigo color, and the yellow and the blue making the green color. That's kind of interesting to me. This is Mars in Capricorn. Four of Discs. I really do like this Four of Discs and the way it speaks to structure and balance. Here it looks like almost nuclear. These look like nuclear symbols to me, which is interesting. These are all skulls. This is so bizarre, this card. I don't know what I think of this one. Super curious what other people have to say about that one. That one's Sun in Capricorn. Here we have the Five of Discs. Here we have the Six of Discs. We have the Rosy Cross in the center, much more explicit. Here it is the center of the Rosicrucian cross, but here we have the entire Rosicrucian cross sitting at the center, which is cool. I like this little forest down here. This is Moon in Taurus. So much to unpack. The Seven of Discs. This is Failure. These are like two big scythes here. This almost to me speaks to like the farmer who's cut his plant and just determined that the roots are rotten. This is Saturn in Taurus. And then the Eight of Discs, Prudence. Love the balance in this card. Love that it again looks like a spider web, but that's one that is completed. This is Sun in Virgo. Gain for the 9 of discs. Oh, I like that. That is Venus in Virgo. And then we have our 10 of discs, a very clear nod to the Tree of Life here. But here we have, again, we're back to the same symbology, right, of the original Tree of Life. I like this a lot. This is Mercury in Virgo. I love the like eyes up above Keter there. That's cool. Then we have the Princess of Discs. Oh, I love her. I'm really loving all the colors and detail in the Asherah Tarot. It's beautiful. The Prince of Discs. I do kind of wish I had a bigger version of this deck now, though, because I'm seeing all the symbols and there's a lot going on. So I feel like it would be suited to the bigger cards, especially seeing it next to this large Thoth. And then we have the Queen of Discs. Ooh, she's kind of pointed up at the yin-yang there. That's cool. And the Knight of Discs. I love that this looks like kind of like a Clydesdale, and his horse's feet, much like actually when you look at the Thoth, it's the same situation. They kind of merge into the ground here. And we have these little yin-yangs that appear to be seeds that are sprouting new life, which is super interesting. Okay, oh my gosh. You guys, I'm sorry, this was really, really long. It turned into a kind of a deep dive because that's just what happens when you're really looking at something with a lot of depth like this. Of course, it shuffles beautifully because it's linen cardstock. I am going to be working with this deck, so keep an eye out for my April show and tell. Again, by the time this video is out, I'll probably have already worked with it a bit, but I'll have more of my final thoughts at the end of the month. So keep an eye out for that. Again, I'm going to be tucking this into my little mini pouch here, one of Peggy's pouches, which is perfect. This is a nice little compact deck, and I'm going to try working with this deck this month, or this for a little while anyways, alongside, I'm going to try to give this book another chance, but I'm going to try to use this deck alongside Gerd Ziegler's Mirror of the Soul. A lot of people recommended this book. I didn't really like it when I first picked it up because I was really enjoying Marcus Katz's books, but I think I'm going to give this a try and just use this in a more practical, everyday reading kind of way, and we'll see how it works out. I will definitely report back. Oh, I forgot the extra cards. Oh, I'm going to fan them out anyways. What am I even thinking? Anyways, I will definitely report back how this works out for me, but that is my plan. So that's what I'll be talking about at the end of the month. But that is the Asherah Tarot. Now, from what I understand, this deck was out of print for like quite a long time, I think. And it's now back, which is awesome. We love that. We love a good reprint of an out-of-print deck. That's amazing. And so, yeah, I'm really excited to hear what you guys think, especially those of you who have worked with a Thoth for much, much longer than I have. I am a Thoth newbie, and it's been really, really fun to dip into and kind of explore the symbols in this. Look at that pretty fan. A lot of fun. I'm curious, is this one that you already have that you intend to pick up? I will have a link to it down below. I got this on Drive-Thru Cards, so that is what I recommend checking out for this particular version. And yeah, I can't wait to hear what you guys think. So be sure and click the like button, subscribe if you're new here, click the bell, and as always, leave a comment with your thoughts down below. Thank you all so, so much, and may your magic always shine from the inside out. Bye, guys.